When I saw this shirt sitting in my closet, I was like, you're the one. You are the shirt for Aries season. Hola my beautiful lotus flowers, welcome back or welcome to my channel. If you're into nerding out on everything astrology, spirituality, and self-transformation, this is the community for you. Today we're talking all about the Aries Rising, aka Aries Ascendant sign. And if you're not quite sure what the rising sign is, it's your first time searching for it, refer back to this video where I talk more specifically about the rising sign alone, and then come back and watch this if you're an Aries rising. For a brief summary, the rising sign is where the sun was rising over the eastern horizon at the time that you were born. And it tells us a lot about the way that we express ourselves physically, outwardly, in the physical world, and how we try to present ourselves in the physical realm. Whereas your sun sign is more of your egotistical nature and who you are, and then your moon sign has a lot to do with your deeper nature and what a lot of people don't see and how you kind of handle your emotions as well. We'll start the video by talking about some general traits of an Aries rising that are really important to note, and then we'll continue to talk about some difficulties that an Aries rising placement may have in life, and then some strengths they may have in life as well. And we'll finish off with a few celebrity examples of Aries rising and how they display the traits that we talked about. So be sure you're staying tuned for that. First, we'll start by talking about some general traits of Aries rising. The number one thing to know is that Aries is the cardinal fire sign ruled by Mars, symbolized by the ram. Being ruled by Mars, this rising sign often exudes a fearless, potentially intimidating, yet extremely passionate demeanor. And if you're not quite sure, Mars is actually the planet of aggression, passion, and ambition, and tells us a lot about the way that we carry ourselves when it comes to those traits. So an Aries rising will display this Mars energy by being the type of courageous individual that goes after what they want with no questions asked. This energy can often come off as a bit intimidating to people who are first meeting an Aries rising, and the Aries rising may also come off a bit aggressive and assertive to people who don't know them very well. And the Aries rising individual may think that they're just like being nice or whatever, but it can easily come off wrong to other people because they just have a natural Mars ambitious, very like dominant type energy in everything that they do, and this can cause them to have a very straightforward attitude towards others. They're very honest, they're very authentic, and very true to what they believe, and they are ready for anything. Second, Aries rising can tend to come off as a very energetic individual, whether that's channeled through an enthusiastic attitude and or always being active in some way. Being a fire sign usually gives an individual the same energy an actual flame would have, being bright, constantly moving, very bold, and very fast moving as well. Most likely this person will want to be very active. Maybe they're always on the go, career-wise, or always out and about doing something, or they love physical activity like exercise and sports. Or perhaps they're even a homebody who just always has to be doing something engaging. Additionally, the same way that fire can be an all-consuming element, so can an Aries rising personality. Oftentimes it doesn't matter what obstacle or hill or anything might be in their path. When they're going after something they want, they are going to overtake that obstacle with no issues. They're going to consume it, take it over, disintegrate it the same way that fire would. Third, Aries rising is often the type of person who won't hesitate to take the lead in any situation. Again, Aries is the cardinal fire sign. Cardinal means that this sign has a natural leadership type ability to its personality, which plays a lot into how this rising sign showcases itself in the world. So an Aries rising is going to come off as a very sociable person who's very good at making friends. A lot of people will want to gravitate towards them, just like a flame. Again, you can use that metaphor for everything with Aries rising. But people will gravitate towards them. They'll have a very like warm, lively energy that a lot of people will probably want to be around. And this has a lot to do with their cardinal energy, so they can be good at bringing people together, and whether they realize it or not, usually leading those people as well. This is also what contributes to their natural competitiveness, whether they show it or not. For this rising sign, there's an inherent need to excel at whatever they do, or at least be better than anyone else at it. With this cardinal quality combined with being a fire sign ruled by Mars, This is what gives them their insane amount of drive and stamina to overcome and achieve whatever they set their mind and heart on. Fourth, like I mentioned, this individual often has an insane amount of willpower and courage to take action on whatever they feel pulled towards. Being symbolized by the ram is a representation of their immense courage, inner power, resilience, and also signifies new beginnings. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac year, meaning that they are the sign that represents new paths, trailblazing new ways of living. So they are known to be the pioneers of the zodiac. And so because of this, they have to have a lot of resilience and a lot of courage to do the things that they want to do without outside influence affecting them. So in Aries rising, because the rising sign has so much to do with the way that we carry ourselves in the physical world and the purpose we might have in life, and Aries rising is going to be paving a lot of new paths for people, being very innovative. And in order to be an innovative person and trailblaze for everybody else in the zodiac, you need to have an insane amount of bravery, courage, willpower to your personality, and this is why the ram represents Aries. Not only that, but the ram is kind of an animal that can show aggression, and so when the Aries rising feels that they need to show aggression, they won't usually hesitate to do so. If you're enjoying this video so far, be sure you're not forgetting to give it a thumbs up for me, hitting the like button and the bell so you don't miss future videos just like this, and comment if you're an Aries rising individual watching this, or if you're not an Aries rising, comment your rising placement below if you know it. I love to know who's watching these videos. Thank you so much. Now for some difficulties that an Aries rising may face in their lives. Number one, they may have a tendency to be highly impatient when it comes to something they really want, especially their goals and their passions. Aries placements tend to bring a youthful, freeing energy into play, and although this is a very energizing and often refreshing energy to have around, it can also lead to having the impulsiveness of a child. Because Aries is such a fiery, fast-moving Mars energy that also wants to do all these new things and be so innovative and different, this can come with a very impulsive personality. They can tend to be very restless and have a hard time letting things unfold naturally. Like, they really don't want to follow that motto about, letting the universe handle things for you and letting things go. Again, they have a very aggressive cardinal leadership energy, so they want to take charge and they want to almost force things to happen that they want to happen because they're just that passionate about it, and they're so persistent as well. But sometimes you cannot control everything, so this sign may experience difficulty with slowing down and allowing some things to happen the way that they're meant to happen. Don't get me wrong, this resilience is definitely praiseworthy, but no matter what you do, it's healthy for you to realize, if you're an Aries rising, that there's some things you just cannot force into existence. Number two, they strongly crave authentic, deep connections with others, but may find it difficult to find people they actually relate to. Because an Aries rising tends to be so authentic about the things that they believe in the world and tend to go after what they want unapologetically, then they look for people who are also very honest with themselves and very authentic. They really can't stand any fake things going on around them. They want everyone to just be themselves, and this can be hard to find for them. So they may experience a lot of insecurity or self-consciousness when it comes to making friends. They might wonder, like, why is there nobody that I can connect to? Why is there nobody that attracts me to them? Because they're also such a passionate person, they have the ability to deeply care, depending also on their other placements. So they will crave these deep connections, and it will be hard for them to find these most of the time. Third, Aries rising tends to react to things based on their first instinctual response rather than stopping to analyze first. Even though this can lead them to be very in tune with who they are, very in tune with their instincts and their intuition, which is powerful, this can also lead to very dangerous and reckless behavior if they are not careful with the actions that they're taking. Not only that, but this can also channel itself as a very short-tempered person and very combative and ready to fight anybody or argue with anybody or take on anybody who is trying to get in their way, or when it comes to things that they feel and they can't help but just act on it. And again, this is amazing. This is what makes them very authentic individuals most of the time, but this is how it can channel itself as a difficulty. Now for some strengths that an Aries rising may have. Number 1, an Aries rising doesn't usually settle for less than they know that they deserve or want. This is an amazing quality to have because this often leads them to live a life that they actually want. They actually go after their dream life unapologetically. They have a huge capacity to actually achieve it because of their persistence and their resilience and their willingness to be different and authentic. So you won't usually find this sign staying stagnant in a place that doesn't bring them any type of happiness or fulfillment. Like I said, this gives them a hugely large potential to achieve monetary success or success in the way that they define it. Number 2, Aries rising is one of the most harmonious placements to have in the natal chart. This is such a fun strength to talk about because I don't get to talk about this in any of the rising videos because it's not true. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, like I mentioned earlier, meaning if you have an Aries rising, this affects where all your houses are placed in your birth chart. And if you have an Aries rising, that means that everything in your birth chart is lined up where it's supposed to be. All of the houses and the zodiac signs are at home in their houses, which means that there is a lot of harmony going on in your chart. Every house has its rightful zodiac ruler in place with it. Aries ruling the first house, Taurus ruling the second house, and so on and so forth. They are all lined up. The thing that is, obviously can't be controlled or harmonious are the planets still affect things. And so that's not to say that Aries rising has a perfect life and whatnot, but it is to say that there is a lot more potential for harmony in that sense when it comes to this chart. But overall, Aries rising may be prone to good karma in their lives because of this, and they may also find that they have a good way of going with the flow because a lot of things kind of flow easily for them. Third, they are extremely resilient individuals that have a natural ability to overcome anything and persist through whatever difficulties come their way. Again, they have all of the traits needed to go into a sign that is super capable of achieving in the outside world, in the physical realm. And this connects back to the reason that they have a huge potential to achieve the success that they want in their lives or live the life that they desire, because they are not ones to back down or to give up, and they honestly really can't help it. They are so passionate about what they're going after that they just can't help but go for it, and that is powerful. Lastly, let's talk about some Aries rising celebrities and how they display some of the traits that an Aries rising has. First, we have Shakira. First and foremost, the way that she always carries herself is with the fun, lively, super magnetic energy that an Aries rising tends to have. She's usually very smiley, bubbly, full of energy, and just has a really fiery spark. And I hate to use fiery so many times, but that is just the perfect way to describe the way that she displays herself. She's also a very extremely active individual that comes off as a super free spirit, whether it's through her music or whether it's through just watching activities that she does outside of her music. She stays in very good shape. She's very active, and again, super full of energy. What I also found interesting is this quote that I came across on the internet that says, Shakira shared that she always knew she was going to be a public figure, saying that it felt like a premonition. In that same interview, she also said that she once had a premonition that she would give birth to 2 boys. And now she does have 2 sons. Aries placements often are quite in tune with themselves and their passions, not overthinking what they want or what they believe in. And so, like I mentioned earlier in the video, they can tend to actually be very in touch with their intuition because of that. And when we think of intuition, we think of the water signs most of the time, which is understandable. But Aries, again, being the first sign of the zodiac, having kind of impulsive behavior, but also extremely passionate and very true to themselves, they are very in touch most of the time with their instinctual nature and therefore their intuitive nature as well. So for Shakira to say that she just knew, first off, that she was going to be a public figure, that says a lot, because that's a very Aries rising thing to say. But on top of that, she had this innate feeling that she was going to give birth to 2 boys as well. And I just thought that that was such a fascinating quote to find, and definitely exemplified her Aries rising nature. Second, we have Big Sean. Before we talk about him a little bit more, I just need you to listen to this clip. This clip is super self-explanatory because it is about his story and the way that he started to set out on his journey to become a famous rapper. And it's just, this is not Aries rising. I don't know what is.
I ran into Kanye in Detroit when I was graduating high school, outside of a radio station. And I was doing this radio show every Friday night where I would go and battle MCs, and whoever would win the battle would get to rap on air. So I got my relationships up at the radio station. So when Kanye was there promoting his album on a Saturday morning, you know, I was able to finagle my way in there. I lied and said I left my phone there because I was there the night before.
Oh, that's
got
awesome.
back in there, got a chance to rap for him, and that's how I got his attention. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like a fairy tale story.
The number one thing that I take out of his story is that he just went for it. No questions asked. He just knew. He had this inner feeling, this intuitive feeling that he just had to go for it, and nothing could stop him. And the fact that he fabricated this whole like little white lie about needing to go grab his things and whatever just so he could be around Kanye is not only super courageous, like that would be so nerve-wracking to do that. So it's not only super courageous, but he was persistent. He was like, Kanye, you have to listen to me. Listen to me. He was very persistent on it, and just like the ram, he took everything head on in that situation, unapologetically, without a second thought, without anything. And this is one of the situations where an Aries rising impulsive behavior is phenomenal and can do big beneficial things for the Aries rising individual. On top of that, he had an innate belief that he was just meant for greatness and that he would get there somehow. He never truly questioned himself. Yes, there were times where he was like, dang, everybody around me is like moving forward in life and I feel like I'm stagnant, but I cannot give up. And he didn't give up. He also has a very alpha male type energy to him. If you see any of his pictures, you hear the way he raps, the way he speaks. Even though he is a very calm person, you can also tell he's also just a very dominant type personality. And I don't mean that in an offensive way. I mean it in a complimentary way, 100%. Third, we have Rihanna, probably the most notorious Aries rising. People love talking about her Aries placements. First off, she clearly gives off a very bold, aggressive demeanor. Like when you look at her initially, you'd be like, oh, don't know if I want to mess with her. Probably won't ever mess with her. But it's like you also are gravitating towards her. You also want to pay attention to her. You want to talk to her. You want to see what she's doing. She's very motivational because she has a clear, assertive ambition about her in the things that she does. And she is known for doing whatever she wants and completely owning it, from the things that she wears to her business ventures to even her music. Or if you've seen her Instagram, she posts whatever she wants. She doesn't care if she gets backlash, and she just does whatever she pleases. And that's that free-spirited, ambitious, innovative, and pioneering energy that an Aries rising is known to have. One of her most recent famous contributions to the world has been paving a new path for the cosmetic industry, because she created the first high-end luxury brand to actually have an immense shade range. Prior to Fenty Beauty, a lot of cosmetics lines did not have the vast shade range that Fenty Beauty has. And so a lot of women, unfortunately, had issues getting the right coloring for their own skin. That was one of her goals, was to release a brand that allowed to be inclusive of all people, every person of every skin type, every man, every woman, everyone. And she did that. And that is something that now all of the cosmetics lines after Fenty Beauty started to scramble to release more inclusive shade range, which is an amazing thing, a very profound change that she made in the cosmetics industry. And it goes beyond the cosmetics industry, because that's a humanitarian crisis. You know, the exclusion of different skin tones and different cultures is definitely a crisis that we deal with in this society on a daily basis. And she allowed a wall to break in the cosmetics industry, and that is powerful pioneering by an Aries rising. Again, if you enjoyed this, please leave a comment down below telling me if you're an Aries rising or what your rising sign is. And be sure you're not forgetting to like, subscribe, and hit the bell, please, and thank you. And you can also hop over to the LaBlue Lotus Facebook community, where we talk more about using astrology and spirituality for self-transformation. And if you want to look at more of my personal content, you can head to my Instagram at Marisa LaBlue, where I have more personal astrology and spiritual content on there. And you can watch these videos until I see you in the next one, because it'll help you so much more on your journey. Until I see you next time, thank you so much again. Adios.